This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello?
Okay, awesome. We are joined now by Anthony Cerbo, the CEO, the president, the founder, the guy of AllBall Nation. Anthony, we're glad to have you. How are you today, man?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, it's awesome to have you on. So we kind of caught on to your sport a little bit, and we're really excited to hear more about it. Why don't you go ahead and just kind of explain the rules and the scoring of AllBall?
Sure. Basically, it's, and I hate to use the word combination, but it is a combination of a number of sports, basketball, football, soccer, and handball. And the way it works is you can dribble with your hands, you can dribble with your feet. You have to dribble to move with possession of the ball. But the unique thing that we have is our scoring. So we use a goal under the basket. So you can score in the goal by kicking or throwing. You can score in the basket, and you can also throw touchdown passes. And the beauty of the game, which makes it so enticing for a lot of people, is the further back you are from your shot, the more points you get. So you can score anywhere from 2 to 10 points depending on your depth of your shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it brings out a lot of opportunity. So we have the scores of our games. I mean, we get games that score 200 points sometimes. So
Jeez.
it's a lot of action. And, you know, the funny thing with it is you're really never out of the game because you can hit a couple 5s and 6s. You were down 20 and next thing you know, you're down 3. So, it's a lot of fun from that standpoint, but those are the basic rules of it.
So this is like Chiefs offense if it were a game, basically.
They would have a field day with this. Perfect for them.
That's amazing. I love that. I expect to throw all the touchdown passes. You know, I'm a big flag football guy. Nobody can touch me.
Well, that's what I like about it. It's a lot of the people are always like, well, in basketball, I wish you could, if you shoot from a half-court shot, why can't it be more points? Well,
exactly.
With AllBall, it brings that into it.
And that's exactly where my rules came from. Exactly.
Zinner, do you want to ask your first question?
Sure. So I have some nephews that are 5 or 6, and I was reading an article about AllBall, and I noticed you said you were watching your sons play basketball and thinking, wow, this is a little chaotic. I mean, one basketball game I was watching with my nephew, I just got him to dab the whole time, and he never even touched the ball. So did you have like an aha moment at one of the basketball games, or was it you were sitting through a couple kindergarten, middle school basketball games?
I'll give you the story. Basically, I have 4 sons. All played sports, mostly baseball, but you know, we grew up in New Jersey, and our winter time was basketball. That's what we did. So, you know, I watched it for years, and it was like I was always just like, oh my God, do I have to go to another basketball tournament? And I finally got to the point where, you know, it was funny. Anybody that asked me this story, but the aha moment, I was literally sitting. I remember the gym I was in, and watching a tournament for my kids, and I'm like, oh my God, this. You know, after you get 10 kids going for the jump ball in the lane, and then it's like, is this really entertaining? Like, who's enjoying this right now? There can't be anybody enjoying this. So as I'm sitting there watching, I'm saying to myself, okay, well, there's got to be something better than this. So then I'm thinking, well, what if you could put a goal in? Mm-hmm. The other thing that always bothered me about basketball, like when a guy does a leg block, why is that no good? Like, I don't get it. It's not like he's kicking the ball. He's just blocking. So I'm thinking like, well, what if you can kick the ball? And then I'm like, well, what if you can dribble with your feet? You know, so all these things are going through my head. And, you know, that particular game, that tournament was the aha moment. And, you know, the funny thing was I didn't tell my kids right away, but I started down, and I started throwing the idea at them one day when they were all at my house. And I'm like, what do you guys think of this? And I'm waiting for them to say, Dad, you're an idiot. You know, it's not going to work. But they were like, wow, that could be pretty cool. So once I got their approval, so to speak, I started to really proceed with it and develop the game from there.
Well, that's, to me, I guess that became a good father-son kind of bonding. I'm sure they helped you.
You have no idea. I'm so close with my kids, and they're so supportive of this.
Mm-hmm.
They're pushing like crazy to get it going, and they've been fantastic with it. They really have.
Awesome.
So is that kind of like the drive to make it, something bigger? Like, I bet your kids at that point were like, wow, this basketball thing that we all just kind of hate right now, this sucks. But like this AllBall idea, like, let's keep on with that. Like, that's awesome.
It's funny. It has been a big drive, but the one of the huge things about it has been the people and the kids that play it absolutely love it. I've never had anybody say, "Oh, this sucks. I don't want to do this." Everybody loves it. And I even went to a guy, actually the guy that with the gym that I was in when I got the aha moment, knew the guy that ran it. And I went to him one day and I was trying to get him to do, some games in there. And he was like kind of poo-pooing it. And he said to me, "Look, I'm going to tell you right now." I said, "You put this in your building, you will not play another basketball game." Because the kids that, listen, let's face it, not all of us are good at basketball. So
Amen.
if
Tyler, don't shake your head, Tyler. You're not. You shoot 3-pointers from the corner.
Didn't say anything.
You gave that look. I know that look, Tyler.
I'm a good shooter, and that's it. That's it.
When you're open and nobody.
When you're open.
Why not? Hey, as long as you can make them, who cares?
The thing that's funny is though, you can take, you take the average human being who probably sucks at basketball but loves the game.
That's us.
Yeah. But I can give you that game, and you can even be good at it because you can do other things.
You can strategize your own.
You're not just shooting baskets. So
I love that. I think that's awesome. So if you have all these different aspects to your game, if you had to create just like an all-ball all-star team, and you had to choose one player from like the NBA, the MLB, NFL, NHL, who would your ultimate lineup be?
That's a very tough question. I would steer more towards the baseball guys, to be honest with you.
That's fair. I would not want to get in the middle of a guy throwing a ball that hard at me. So I agree.
Right. Because we've, and I'll go back and answer your question in a second, but we've played, most of the games that we have played have been predominantly baseball players. And, we've had guys that can throw 95 off the mound.
Holy cow.
So when they're throwing at a goal, it's like the goalie is just running to the other end of the court because they know they're going to get killed. So, but the baseball players play it best because of the ability to throw. The basketball guys are interesting. When you first play with the basketball guys, when they're first playing it, all they're doing is shooting baskets. They could have a goal wide open from half court. They'll just dribble up and shoot a basket because they don't comprehend it. But once they get it, they were, wow, I can do other things. They start to open up. But to answer your question, I would go, baseball, I don't know if I could pick a particular player, but if you could take any shortstop in the MLB and they'd be at AllBall. Football, I would say the same thing with wide receivers. Take any wide receiver in football, they'd be a stud. Basketball, you can pick from the litter. I would say Michael Jordan would probably be pretty good at AllBall.
Because he's better than LeBron, right?
Yeah, would he be
he's better than LeBron, right?
He's definitely better than LeBron.
Thank you. Eat your heart out, Jake. Eat your heart out.
I would like to see them on opposite teams, though. I would like to see them on opposite teams.
Maybe
that'd be cool to have like
that could finally end the discussion.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Don't end it in a basketball game. I don't want 5 LeBrons, 5 MJs. Yeah. I want LeBron and MJ to strategize, pick the best team possible, and go at it. And also,
MJ played baseball. He played baseball, so he has that background. Right. So he would probably translate better across all the sports that take place in AllBall.
I feel like LeBron would be pretty good at AllBall, though.
Oh, he would.
I feel like he'd be pretty good.
We haven't solved the problem of the guy that's 6'8" and athletic yet. So we haven't really had too many of those show up for our games. But we've had we've had some big guys, 6'4", 6'5" guys that are athletes, baseball players or football players. So it is interesting, but yeah, I would say hockey. I don't really know hockey that well, so I couldn't give you anybody to represent the list there.
Okay.
What about a 6'1", 320-pound guy with some good shoulders? Where does he fit into this equation?
Probably going in the goal, I'm going to guess.
Okay. I'm quicker than you
That's
think
fair.
I am. I'm wide and I'm quick. in
You are
short
pretty.
distance.
Hey,
You're quick. You would do
got quick
very
feet.
well.
You're good.
You would do very well.
Thank you.
So-
I'm excited.
So in some of the videos I've seen, I thought it was pretty cool that there was one that I was watching. It had like a smaller guy. He may have been like 14, 15 years old. It looks like he was playing with a bunch of college guys. So,
That was my younger son. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We all played intramural sports in college. Did you play intramural sports in college?
I didn't play. I actually was. I was playing outside of college, doing the men's softball and all that other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Not through school.
Yeah, we had a men's softball team. We were pretty good. We were called Bye Week. We almost got away. We almost got away with one team not even showing up. We almost folded.
I think they texted the intramural staff and was like, "Wait, is this an actual game or not?" And then
And they're like, "Yeah, we'll see y'all at 6:30." And it was like 6:15. So we almost got them.
They all showed up with tennis shoes on, no cleats.
And I'm pretty sure they still beat us.
Yeah, that's
So-
probably.
Oh yeah, they did. They did.
That's great.
So a question I have is, do you see AllBall being more of a sport that takes off, or do you see it being, a lot of parents looking at it to make a well-rounded athlete at a young age?
Ooh,
How do
I
you
like that.
see that translating?
Well, that's a good question. Being the father of 4 athletes, I would look at it as it's a great avenue for kids that do not excel at one thing. My kids were all baseball players. They were all pretty good at their game. But if I put them on the basketball court, they were just athletes playing basketball. They weren't great basketball players. So from a parent standpoint, I would say, if my kid's or my kid is excelling in AllBall, I would rather put him here or her than say, okay, well, let's try basketball where you still can't make a shot and you still can't cover anybody, but you love the game. So
That's how I felt.
I mean, I was the same way. But let's put our positives towards what we're good at, and that may be a combination of things that you don't need to be excelling at. So it's a good question, though.
So let me ask you this, Anthony. You said all your kids play baseball. Would you rather all 4 of your kids go to be professional baseball players, or would you rather be the proud father of the first 4 professional AllBall players?
Well, I would definitely go with that, of course, but
That's so biased. Come on, man. Do better. Jeez.
well, you have to look at it this way. If you're the first 4, superstars of AllBall, that kind of makes you the Babe Ruth of your sport.
Ooh, I like
true.
that.
I mean,
I like that.
So you got to look at it from that standpoint. If I'm a great baseball player, I'm one of hundreds of or thousands of great baseball players over time. But
That's
if
fair.
I'm one of the first AllBall guys, I'm Jim.
So-
I'm Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Well, your kids can all be Babe Ruth, but when the 5'10", slightly overweight guy from Louisiana comes around and just becomes Mike Trout in your sport, I'm going to be waiting on that big paycheck, man.
Well, that's why you need
I
to.
don't think that's happening though.
Oh,
You
it's
need to
happening. I've already started training, man. I'm ready. I'm so ready for when this takes off.
Well, Anthony, you need to keep their stats tracking right now. That way, they have really far distances between.
Exactly.
The kids.
Yeah, we got some stuff working already. So
Okay, good.
That's awesome. So let's see. Did you want to ask the flopping question? Zer?
Sure. So since it combines basketball and soccer, 2 of the most notorious sports that people just flop for no reason, have y'all seen any of that in your sport? And
Well,
kinda
will tell you this.
how's the fouling?
First of
kinda work?
all, flopping is not allowed in our sport. So
I love it.
God,
Amen.
Thank God.
A plus. A plus.
if you're gonna flop, somebody's gonna stomp on you. So there's no
Thank
flop.
God. I love it.
The thing with the fouls in AllBall, which is very interesting, and it's something, again, from watching basketball and soccer over the years that I realized was stupid was we don't have ticky-tack fouls. So if we're
Let them
banging
play.
as we're going down the court, there's not going to be a foul called unless you're totally impeding somebody by holding, grabbing, kicking, something like that. But if we're body, we're letting that go. So if I'm going to body you and you flop, then I'm just going to continue and go on and try and score because you're not going to get a call from us. So the only time foul calls for the most part is especially while you're shooting is, let's say I'm going up for a shot. Let's say I'm throwing at the goal and you come up and you body me, but you hit my arm. Well, we're not calling a foul on that. So that's clean, so as far as stuff like the flop, we have never seen a flop so far in any of our games.
I'd be afraid to flop.
Yeah, I don't anticipate it, but I think the first guy that will do a flop will probably be eliminated from the league. So that's kind of the rules we're doing right now.
I think that's when you need the 6'1", 320-pound guy coming down the paint.
Absolutely.
At least on like a final charge to win the game, I think I'd take it out of the goal and kind of run it and just see what happens.
Just let it go. I love that. Let's see. So, obviously one of the big things right now is the coronavirus, COVID-19. Has that affected you in any way, shape, or form? Like your personal life, AllBall life? Has it affected you at all?
Yeah, personally, it hasn't really affected me, but AllBall life, came to a screeching halt, which was unfortunate. We were doing a lot of what we called free camps for schools. We would probably do like at least one a week in different schools in the Phoenix area, where we're going in and we're taking over their gym class, and we're there all day long, and we're just teaching kids AllBall and letting them play. And we were making a lot of headway with that. We had a great time. We actually we had a school up in Las Vegas that we did, huge school that had an absolute blast with. We were getting 100 kids a class.
Jeez.
And divvying them up and teaching them real quick and letting them play. And so that was great. And then we had some colleges that we were working with, getting into some college intramural type things we were trying to get going, and some club sports. And then this thing hit and it was like shut down because, the worst thing about the timing for me anyway is schools are done in May and June.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, I have nothing going until maybe September at this point.
Jesus.
Now that we have the new alarm spread going on, it might not even be that. So, so I don't know, what we're going to do at this point, but I have a bunch of things on the blueprints that I'm looking to start to get going.
Well, I know for sure that at the end of every year at Tech, at the intramurals, they always do a poll of what sports would you like to see added. So I mean, I think Tech would be a really good school.
Louisiana Tech, by the way.
Yeah, Louisiana Tech. Yeah, you can't just say Tech to just random.
We're just used to Tech.
We're not that big yet.
Yeah. But I think the community here at Louisiana Tech, I think that would be a really good sport because there's a lot of really good athletes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all of us, our group collectively, I think it's safe to say we were average. But
I was about to say, if you were about to call us great athletes, I was going to have to stop you right
now. We were the average of all the non, collegiate sports.
You put all of us average athletes together, and we probably create one great athlete.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
We'll at least win a third of our games.
A third.
Maybe.
Well, I guess take away from the damper of COVID-19 talk, but you said you had blueprints in the work. Where do you kind of see AllBall in, say, the next 5 years? What are your kind of next goals or plans?
Well, the thing that we have, and again, working with my sons on this, is I definitely want to get into the schools heavy duty. To start, with the younger kids and make this their sport, so as they go through school and they get into high school, that's their sport. I have to get into high schools as well and do, we're trying to work on getting, but we're going to continue as we go on here, getting into schools and doing high school leagues and middle school leagues. I also want to do, and that's what I'm working on currently. I want to start doing some men's leagues, women's leagues, for adults, where we have prize money, where we get sponsors and, you know, say, hey, you win the league, it's 10 grand to your team, or, you know, you win the tournament, it's 5 grand to your team. So big picture, definitely would love to be in the college ranks as well, both intramural and club sports. And, you know, from that point, would love it to be a professional sport as well. So I think there's a huge market. I have a lot of ideas, especially in the professional ranks, where, you know, you can do this from an organized standpoint and make it bigger than it really is with like these pro sports. Because like you're looking right now, it's funny because I'm watching all these pro sports making their adjustments because of COVID. Their thoughts about where they're playing, like the NBA is going to play in one arena in Orlando. Well, that's been my plan for AllBall forever. Why do I need 50 states of teams when I can pick regions? Say, okay, well, the Southwest region hosts 8 teams, and the Northwest region hosts 8 teams, and the Northeast holds 8 teams. And you have a center, or you have a couple of centers where they rotate. So everybody gets to play, you know. So these kind of things are, you know, I'm in tune to all this stuff because it's where I want to go, and I'm anxious to see if they can get it done, you know. But, you know, the big picture is ginormous because I don't know where it could go. It can go anywhere, you know. So it's really just I want to do the feeding grounds of the young kids to get them, you know, to love it, and this could be their game, and hopefully that translates into, you know, all the other avenues that we can hit.
Well, how big of a focus is a channel like ESPN the Ocho? Because, you know, I think the Ocho has been a big part of the boom of the cornhole leagues. So how do you look at you know, a spectacle like ESPN the Ocho as far as growing the sport of AllBall?
I think that's a great spot to start. I've even tried to research some other you know, local sport, not really local, but smaller sports channel programming. And, you know, nobody ever gets back to you. So it's just going to be a constant badgering until somebody says, hey, okay, let's take a look at this. But I think something like Ocho would be fantastic. I think what I need first is if I can develop a venue and an event and just say, hey, you know, October 23rd, we're doing this tournament in this location. Would you guys be interested in coming out? You know, kind of thing.
If you have a tournament for $10,000 for a winner, I mean, it's kind of like ESPN. You need to come look at this.
Yeah,
people are out here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's been, you know, it's been an interesting road, and the biggest problem that I've had is going into a venue, and let's say when I first really started, I was going into boys and girls clubs, you know, YMCAs, just schools, whatever. Or places, you know, or just facilities that had basketball courts. And the big thing I've run into is all they keep telling me is, oh, we don't have space for this. We're booked solid. Listen, you're not booked solid. I've been in your gym. No, there's not. So, you know, like the day I walk in to talk to somebody, they tell me they're booked solid. There's nobody in their gym. So, you know, you can't tell me you're booked solid.
Right.
So what we really need to do is, and you know, this COVID thing really kind of slowed me down from that, but I need to go after membership. I need to go after the YMCA's members and say, hey, you can play this here if you talk and open up your mouth, you know, and then they could get me in, or, you know, same with Ocho. If somebody from Ocho sees this sport and says, wow, this is really cool, maybe Ocho would cover it, kind of thing. You know, I need to go after membership first and try and get members to really enjoy it. And then hopefully that'll open the doors to get into these places, because, you know, YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, this is a perfect game for them. Because you that aren't great at a lot of things, that they can be great at this.
And all they have to do is put a soccer goal in. Like, there's easy setups.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
But I can kind of see if you get the kids talking about it at their schools, then they talk to their parents. Their parents might be YMCA members, and
Yep.
I can see that hopefully kind of catching on.
Absolutely.
And one thing I look at it is I love playing sports. I hate running, you know, and I need to get in shape. But there's nowhere in Ruston to really go play basketball, you know, something like that. And I think looking at all ball, it's something that it really forces you to play full court, which really, puts an emphasis on, your cardio. So, I mean, I really look at it as, people our age, that are looking for something to do, something active to do. It would be a perfect sport.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, we get a lot of the guys like, in your age group when we do our little men's leagues that we do. And, it's fun to watch because they are going through that same thing where they're really not in great shape, but they're athletes and they're wearing out, in a few minutes. So what I initially did when I was watching it was I was making them do substitutions every, let's say 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Because the game would get sloppy because they were getting lazy and they're getting tired and they're not running anymore. So we started doing that and it worked out great. And as the weeks went on and they were building up stamina, we didn't have to do that anymore. So it was a lot better of a game, to watch. But from a cardio standpoint, it's nonstop because we play, and I don't know if you guys have seen that, but we play 4-on-4. We don't play 5-on-5.
Right.
So there's only 4 players on the court. And with the multiple elements of scoring, there's no, you're not just banging in the lane like you are in basketball. Everybody's in the lane. You're all over the court. You're spread all over. So there's constant movements, constant running. We don't have a lot of fouls, as I said. So the clock is constantly moving, and I don't know if you're aware of this other thing, but we play the back walls. So the back walls are live, so our only out of bounds are on the side. So if the balls don't go out, if the ball's not going out on the side court, the game is just going, because you hit the ball, it's fine.
Which is an annoying part of basketball and soccer. It's just like,
Exactly.
Usually like a high school or middle school basketball gymnasium, there's only a foot between the court and the wall anyway. So I just got so annoying.
Yep, absolutely.
So with the lack of sports, I mean, it's really great that we have, things like that we can maybe get into our local gym. Like if we, if they ever come back really, but, I would love to bring these in open gyms, but with all major sports being at a halt right now, I guess they're slowly starting to come back. But if you could choose a sport right now to come back full-fledged, which sports league would you choose?
I would say football. Because I think I love football, but I think football unifies the country more than any sport.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Exactly.
Every Sunday is a holiday, during football season. So I think football has a big impact. I'm going to tell you right now, basketball and baseball happen this year. They think they're going to happen.
That's a hot take. Hot take alert. We need to get a sound in there for that.
You could do whatever sound you want. I could preach to the choir because I've been studying this thing for months. And, what I'm noticing now, and I'm sure you guys see it. So let's say baseball, for example. Well, 3 guys in the spring training camp that were employees got COVID.
Yeah.
So they shut down the spring training site. So let's take this example. So let's 24. They test the guy before the game. He has COVID. Are they going to play the game?
No.
Are they going to shut it down? Like, what are they going to do?
They're going to shut it down.
They're going to shut it down. So now what do? Well, now we have to go 2 weeks with that team and they can't play. So now what happens? So this is where this whole thing is going. Football has a shot because maybe in 2.5 months it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But baseball and basketball, one guy gets it, it's done. What if an umpire has it?
Right.
Oh,
well, if we're being honest, some umpires getting it wouldn't be worst case scenario.
That's a fact. Not a bad idea there.
So
I mean, if Angel Hernandez gets it, I'm not complaining. I mean, he's a bad ump.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, he's been bad for a long time.
I think what we're saying here is we need just a tournament style for all the sports, and whoever can not get COVID, they just win.
Honestly, that's what it's going to be. Because I'm thinking about baseball and basketball, and I'm like, okay, well, everybody's flipping out if one person gets it, and then they're shutting down. So it's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's going to happen. So what are you going to do? Like one team forfeits for 2 weeks? Like what are you? What are you going to do?
Unless you keep all the staff and players and everybody in a dorm room until they go play the game, then there's no way someone's not.
But even so, these tests are so live that, you're hearing, and I hear it all the time, people have no symptoms and they test positive.
Yeah.
So, that's what's going to go on, especially with the athletes, because the athletes are probably not getting it full blown.
Mm-hmm.
They probably don't have symptoms, but they're going to get it. So, okay, I'm coming to the game today and I test positive. Well, the whole team panics,
Right.
Lockers, what are you going to do? I mean, that's what's going to happen. So,
yeah, I think that's a big cause for now for this big surge, or the second surge that we have, is all these asymptomatic people now are getting tested, and they're like, oh shit, we gotta calm it down a little bit.
Exactly.
Here we go. It's,
exactly.
But that's another topic for conversation. I'll get on a soapbox about that.
If you guys want to do a show on that, I got a million things I can tell you.
Look, man, I'm a high school football coach right now, and we have all these different protocols and everything else we have to follow, and it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh man,
and it's still not going to prevent it. So.
Oh no, I know. It's so wild. So one of the big staples that we have on our show, and I say staple, it's been going on for the past 5 weeks now. But one of the big staples that we have is a meal of the week. And we all choose something that either our moms cooked back when we were little, or something that we've had at our favorite restaurant.
A really good / bad college meal. Anything.
Yeah, really good /
anything.
Hey, look, my corn casserole is great. All right. We're going to leave that. We're going to leave that. All right. But if you could choose one meal to tell our listeners about, it's your favorite meal that your mama cooked or your wife cooks or that you cook, what would be your favorite meal, or what is your meal that you're telling all of our listeners about?
All right. I'm not going to say I can't say it's my favorite meal because I really don't cook for myself. So I typically, being a bachelor, I go out and grab something. But when I am at home and I do cook for myself, I have this, I don't want to say it's good, but it does the job. It's my mac and cheese and tuna that I make.
Yes.
So it's basically mac and cheese, a couple of cans of tuna. I usually buy these cups of fruit, like cups of oranges. You can get them in a little cup.
Yeah.
They're peeled and stuff. I put some oranges on it. I crunch up some nachos, make it a little crunchy.
Okay.
And that's my go-to.
It's like a Pacific Islander mac and cheese.
Exactly.
On a budget.
Exactly.
I like it.
On a budget.
Exactly.
On a budget.
I love that. I think that's great. So is that go ahead.
I always say to my kids, the day that AllBall hits it big is the last day of mac and cheese and tuna.
There you go. There you go.
I think what he's trying to tell us, though, is that that is the ultimate pregame meal for AllBall is mac and cheese and tuna.
That could be. It could be.
Do you have any particular drink that you pair with it? Any type of beer or whatever that you pair with it?
I'm not a big beer drinker, but usually what I'll do with the mac and cheese and tuna, I'm into combos, as you can see. So I'm going to go with a raspberry seltzer with a raspberry iced tea, half and half.
Huh.
Interesting.
I might try that this weekend.
It is off the charts. Off the charts.
Well, if you ever get a chance, one thing, this is our unofficial sponsor of the podcast. If you get a chance, try out High Noon vodka soda seltzers. Very delicious. Very great.
All right. I'll check it out.
A couple rapid fire questions for you, though. Favorite sports memory of all time?
From a pro sport?
Any sport. It could be sometime that you were playing. It could be high school or you or some that you watch live. Favorite sports memory of all time. What takes the cake?
That's going to be a tough one.
If you have two that you're trying to decide between, we'll take them both.
All right. I would probably say my older son's team, his high school team, were state champs in New Jersey. They were 33-0.
Wow.
In his senior year. And I can't say one memory specifically, but those games were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was constant pressure for them to lose, and they never did. And the tournaments were always great, but that was pretty remarkable. And then if I have to choose another, I mean, all my kids' games were great. You know, all their events were great. But if I go
Except the youth basketball, right?
Yeah.
yeah, basketball. Actually, wait. I will say though, a couple of them played on some really good teams, so those are terrible. But I would say pro sports probably best moment was probably, and being from New Jersey, I'm a Mets and Giants fan.
Oh, that
Oh,
must suck.
God.
I would say
That's awful.
Bill
I'm
Buckner,
sorry.
the Bill Buckner World Series debacle was probably right up there. And then the Giants winning the Super Bowl in 2007-8 with the Brady undefeated thing.
Yeah, I cheered for the
That's
Giants a
good.
lot on that Super Bowl.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a Braves fan, so I enjoy
Losing.
when
You
they
enjoy
when
losing.
They go to,
Enjoy losing, Tyler.
I enjoy losing, but I enjoy when they go to New York and they normally beat the Mets. That's something I love, watching the Mets.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
All right, so we've done a bracket on this show of the best sports movies of all time. I still don't
Okay.
agree with our winner, but what is your best sports movie of all time? Or what's your favorite sports memory of all time?
I would say I'm going to go way back because you guys were probably not born yet, but I'm going to say the original. Now I can't think of the name. Bad News Bears.
Oh,
yeah.
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 We've all
Oh,
seen
yeah.
it. We've all seen it.
That was.
Did you like the remake?
Movie.
Did you like
What's that?
Did you like the remake?
I didn't like the remake. No, I didn't like the
Okay.
remake. I'm not big on remakes because the original's so good. Like you're never going to duplicate it.
Yeah.
That's
I
fine.
would say that, and I think The Natural is a great movie.
Natural is a really good movie.
That's
Yeah, I think that's a great sports movie.
How do you feel about Rocky?
I loved the first Rocky. After that, I was done with Rocky. You know, when Rocky went on the juice even bigger than he was, and just kept getting bigger and bigger, it was like, all right, this isn't really good.
Well, it was the same story over and over again.
It really
Yeah,
was.
well,
I mean,
That's all it is. That's
I
all it is.
liked them, so it's whatever.
so speaking of juice, are PEDs allowed in AllBall?
We haven't decided yet.
I think they should be.
Ooh.
I think it's going to be a high possibility that it's okay, as long as people don't get they don't go on roid rage. and we
I
have
was about to say,
fight
roid rages.
That's the only thing we're going to be worried about. But I mean, to me, it's open season right now. So
Thank you. Exact. I mean, just imagine all these guys in the MLB. As you've already said, baseball players would probably be the best. Take all
Right.
these guys that get busted for PEDs and lose that paycheck. They're getting tired of losing that paycheck. They're going to come right over to AllBall.
we'll take them. We'll take them.
We'll pad the walls really well in case they just run
That's
too
all.
back.
Really softballs. Really softballs.
So, big question here, and this goes for our podcast. Can we officially call ourselves the official home of AllBall? Can we be the official podcast of your sport?
I would love you guys to be the official home.
Sweet. There we go.
I would love you guys to start getting some tournaments going down in your hood, and we could put you guys on the map. And when we do, what would be fantastic, I don't know if you guys could do this, but if we start doing some tournaments all over the place and you guys come and broadcast and do that for your podcast, would be phenomenal.
That would be amazing. That'd be
That would
so
be awesome.
electric. I would love that. Well,
I'll
I work.
toss,
Go ahead.
I'll toss
go
back
ahead.
a couple old fashions and commentate some AllBall.
I think that'd be awesome.
You guys would have a ball watching. You would have an absolute. We have, it's funny. Every time I watch the game, and I usually do the refereeing,
Mhm.
but it's the game is just constant highlight reels. It's
Yeah.
the entire game. It's you watch a basketball game, you watch a football game. There's a couple highlights in the game. This is all game long. We have highlights like all game long, and I can make a highlight reel video from one game.
Mm-hmm.
So many things that go on.
Yeah, and
You
that's
know?
what, whenever you explain in the game in the first part of the podcast, that's exactly what I was like, with all these different types of scoring, different
yeah.
strategies you can choose, it just seems like every shot could be a highlight reel shot.
And it is. It really is. And, the more athletic the guys are, the more highlights you get.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but you guys, from a fan's view, it's a great game to watch. I mean, there's games that I want to play because it's getting so good,
Mhm. Yeah.
Right.
and I'm like, all right, well, somebody else needs to ref because I want to go play for a little while. But yeah, no, from a fan's perspective, it's phenomenal. I couldn't even imagine broadcasting it because it's so crazy. You know,
Well, I do the PA for our basketball games at school and our softball, baseball games, and I've been called the voice of Cedar Creek. So I would love to just commentate.
You are now the voice of AllBall.
I'm now the I'm going to put that in my Twitter bio right now. I'm the official voice of AllBall. I'll be
the official tipsy guy.
Yes,
the official voice of AllBall.
You'll be my color guy. That's always tipsy in the booth with me. I love that.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, we'll get a dodgeball kind of experience out of it.
I love
Absolutely.
that. All right. Well, we're gonna play AllBall at our big fantasy football draft that we have. I know Grayson and Jake, they both ordered a ball. They've already been practicing in the backyard. Grayson's on my team, so he's going to be ready for it. Tyler's on my team as well. That doesn't really say much for me. But anyway, we're excited for it. We love it. And we'll video it for you, and we'll send it your way.
Awesome.
And I'm actually going to talk to my principal and see, if we can get AllBall over to my school. So if you would make a trip to Louisiana, if we can get it set up, man, I would
absolutely. If you guys could get me a venue and some schools, maybe a couple schools, we'll come down and do a demo for you guys. Absolutely.
Yeah, I went to a rich private school, so I'll do some talking.
That always works.
I went to a backwoods country school that's probably.
Tyler will get you 5 people to play. That's the only
get you
all
5
you need is 8, 4-on-4. All you need is 8, man.
You only need 8.
Oh, I need to get 8.
That's your graduating class, Tyler.
That was my
8.
graduating.
Anthony, it was awesome. It was a pleasure. Where can people find AllBall?
Right now, you can go to our websites, allballnation.com. Also on Instagram, which is allball.nation. And I'm presently working on an app right now that's going to be we're going to use that as kind of our advertising platform where we're doing tournaments and where we're going to be and that kind of thing. So that's in the works right now as well.
That is awesome. Well, we're definitely going to plug it in our bio when we tweet about this episode tomorrow. We're going to put it on our Instagram, our YouTube, our Twitter. We're going to put it everywhere. We really want people to find AllBall. I think this is great. I love the idea. We tried talking to these wiffle ball guys, and they didn't want to talk to us. But this sport is much better. This is way more electric.
Yeah, this is way more better.
I might even start going after the wiffle ball guys because they got to be bored out of their minds.
Exactly. All you do is throw. I got my own thing about wiffle ball. AllBall is where it's at. All right.
Well, listen, I just want to say you guys have been fantastic. I really enjoyed it, and let's stay in touch, and hopefully we can do stuff down the road.
Absolutely. So we can call you recurring guests, right? Anytime we want you on, you can come on and talk.
And if you want me to ever talk COVID, I'm your guy.
We're here for it. We're
COVID
so
expert.
here for it. All right, Anthony. It was a pleasure, brother.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Happy late Father's Day.
Thank you.